Hi everybody, welcome. In today's quick tips, we're going to be talking about what, Stephanie?
Frangipani.
Frangipani, right?
Or as our mom used to say, frangipani.
Yes, she did. So, are you all ready to dig in?
Sure am.
Let's grow. In our video today, I'm going to focus on the three most common frangipanis, and the first one is the most spectacular in my opinion, the temple tree or frangipani that goes by the botanical name Plumeria Rubra. And she's spectacular. Love this frangipani. It's a must-have for a tropical garden, I feel. The solid colors of the Plumeria Rubra are the most common, but she has been hybridized so much that there are a bazillion different cultivars out there, and I'll show you some more later in this video. And to easily identify this frangipani, look at the leaf tips. The Rubra is going to have a pointed acuminate leaf tip, and that's a telltale sign that that's this species. Now the next frangipani I want to talk to you about that is common to South Florida is the blunt-leaved frangipani. Goes by the botanical name Plumeria Opusa. And this plant typically only has two types of flower colors, a white and a soft pink. And the way to tell this frangipani from the others is that she's going to have a blunt tip rounded edge to her leaf tips. And now on to the third plumeria that I want to talk to you about today, the bridal bouquet. She goes by the botanical name Plumeria Pudika, or some people say Plumeria Pudika. I say Pudika. And she only comes in a white flower. Very, very cool plant, very common in South Florida. People like to grow these as a hedge or a small accent plant. We've also grown them on a balcony. These are great in pots. Super tough plant. And the flower and leaf characteristics of the bridal bouquet is that she's going to have a beautiful white flower, profuse flowering in the summertime. And her leaf tips are going to be spoon-shaped. She's going to have like an acute spatulate leaf. Very, very different than the other plumerias. Another thing on the bridal bouquet that gives her away is that she tends to have this V shape. She tends to get leggy at the base, which is where her name comes from, because it looks like you could just cut these off and put them in someone's hand and a bride could carry them down the aisle. And that's how her common name came about. You can grow the frangipanis as a large shrub or a small tree. The rubra will get the largest though, up to about 25 feet. The other's a little bit smaller. Frangipanis are also easy to prune and propagate. We'll be doing a propagation video for you in the future, so please consider subscribing to our channel if you haven't done so already so you don't miss out on that video. Frangipanis do best in hardiness zones 10 through 12. They can grow in 9B protected areas, or you can grow them in pots and bring them in if you live in zones 9 and lower. This plant is sensitive to frost, so you have to be aware of that. Consider growing your frangipani in a large decorative pot if you're in zones 9 and lower. That way you could always bring her inside during a cold front and she could survive through the winter. Frangipanis are notoriously drought tolerant, and they're even partially salt tolerant. They're definitely hardy tropical plants. Now we have to take a butterfly break because a zebra has decided to cut through our video, so I just wanted to share that with you. Frangipanis do need some aftercare watering to get established, so when you put them in the ground, we recommend that you water them 3 times a week for the first month, then 2 times a week for the second month, and 1 time a week for the third month if you don't have an automatic irrigation system. And after that, only as needed. If you have an automatic irrigation system, this won't necessarily apply, but you do need to watch her. You want to ensure she doesn't dry out during the establishment period. Frangipanis do best in full sun to part sun. The more sun you give her, the more flowering she's going to provide you. On soil, we definitely prefer a well-drained sandy loam. You want to have her growing in something like that. She does not like soggy soil. That will cause rot. So best to plant her on a little mound if you tend to have a non-well-draining soil in your yard. And we recommend a sand organic loam mix so that it's well drained. On fertilizer, you don't necessarily need to fertilize, but if you want to zhuzh up your frangipanis, we recommend a spring fertilizer like a 16-4-8, which is like a typical grass fertilizer. You want a higher nitrogen. That'll help with generating leaves and photosynthesis. And we recommend you apply that in February and April, but definitely check with your city ordinances on when you can fertilize. And then in the summer months, we recommend a 394. We love Dr. Earth. It's an organic fertilizer, and the higher phosphorus amount, the center number, will help to encourage more blooming. Frangipanis are mostly pest-free, but you do need to look out for spider mites. I would say spider mites is probably the biggest one that we've encountered in the past. Definitely need to keep a watch out for that with the bridal bouquet. Spider mites tend to like that plant, but they're generally pest-free and they don't have a lot of issues. You do have to sometimes worry about rust, but overall, this plant doesn't have a lot of issues. Now what I'd like to do is show you some of these wonderful hybrids. I'll only be scratching the surface here, but here are some of my favorites. They're just beautiful. And then we'll come back and do a quick closing at the end. Another cool feature of the Frangipani Rubra and Opusa is that they have a wonderful scent to their flowers, just beautiful. But I have found on the Frangipani Pudika doesn't have a scent. If it is, it's very, very light, but I'd like to know your thoughts and which Frangipani you love the scent the most of. I just love that scent. It's wonderful.
Thank you all for joining us today. We hope this was informative, but there's one more thing we want to discuss. Stephanie, what happens to this tree in the wintertime?
They drop all their leaves.
They sure do, but it can be very sculptural in your garden, and you can light these up at night, and they look really, really pretty with no leaves. They're very, very sculptural. They have this real cool lattice look. And I'd like to say, if you have any thoughts or questions, they're supposed to do something. What is that, Rach, Steph?
Comment down below.
That's it. Leave a comment down below. And until the next video,
Bye.
Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. And tell your friends and family. We post videos weekly. Thanks.